everyone, welcome to our Crazy Life Scotland and the second in my series of handmade teacher gifts. Today we're going to be making badge reels, which can be used for teacher name badges or security cards, anything like that. And we are going to be using UV resin. We are going to do it in two different ways. We are going to use a bezel and we are going to use this little mould. I want to apologise for the blurred image. I don't know what was going on with my camera, but I didn't notice at the time. So I'm just going to put it up anyway. I'm sorry if you don't like it. But anyway, this is me deciding what badges I am going to use. So I think I got these from BB Craft. I'm not 100% sure. It was maybe that or it was maybe Temu. So I have settled on these two for no particular reason. I just like them. So I'm going to take it out and show you basically they have got the big round bit, which is what we're going to be sort of decorating or personalising today. And these specific ones come with beads already on them. You get them without beads, but these are the ones that I've got and I actually quite like them. And they do extend so that if you've got like a key card type thing or whatever, you don't need to take it off. And it's got a clip on the back that clips onto a pocket or a tie or a belt, that sort of thing. So that is what we are using today. First of all, I'm going to use this sort of bluey one and I am going to use this mould. It's like a cabochon type mould and I'm trying to decide which hole would be best. And there's two that would work and that one that I'm looking at just now is a little bit bigger. So it would go right to the edge of the badge reel and I'm not sure whether I want it to be slightly inside or not. So I'm just deciding just now. And I think I decide on the slightly smaller one. Yes, I do. I decide on the smaller one. So I'm going to give it a clean with some tape. I've not used this mould for ages, so give it a good clean. Now I am looking at the inclusions that I'm going to put in here and I am going to basically take apart this keyring that I got from Temu and there are some other inclusions that I want to use as well. So I'm going to take this keyring out just now and I will show you the bit that I want to use in this piece. And it's a little apple charm, but it doesn't fit in the one that I've chosen. So I think, oh well, at least we know that the bigger one still works. So it does fit in there and I changed my mind and decided to go for the bigger one instead. So I'm just going to take the apple off of the keyring. So I take my jewellery pliers and I'm just going to gently open the jump ring that the apple is on. Again, you twist like that. And I will take the charm off. I'll put the keyring aside because there's still loads of bits on that we can use. And we are ready to go. Now the charm does have a little loop on the top, a metal loop. So I'm just going to take my sort of wire cutters, metal snippers, and carefully snip that off. Please be careful if you're doing something like this. They are very sharp. So I'm snipping it off just now. If you don't have anything like this, you could leave it on. It's not that big an issue. If you want, you could use a little sort of diamond painting drill or diamante or something just to cover it up. But I've got the snipper, so I snip it off and we are ready to go. It still doesn't fit in the small one, Fiona. It hasn't changed size. Now I'm being good and putting my gloves on. I don't always use gloves with UV resin, but I know that I'm going to get messy with this one, so I put my PPE on. I would always advise you to wear gloves with any kind of resin. So yeah, just be safe, folks, be safe. And because this is a clear mould, I'm going to put a little mirror underneath it. And that way, when you're curing it, the UV light bounces off the mirror and comes back up to cure the other side as well. It doesn't stop you from having to turn it over and doing it, but it always helps. So I like to do that when I remember. And I'm getting my UV resin ready now. I am going to be using the Resiners UV resin. This was kindly gifted to me by Resiners and I really do like it. It's nice and clear and easy to use. So I'm just putting a small amount in the bottom just now. I'm not filling it right the way up. I'm really just wanting enough in there that I can sit my charm in it. There's a little bubble there, so I'm just taking a toothpick and getting rid of that bubble. And this is where I'm going to get messy. Anytime I'm adding something into resin, I like to put some resin on it first. It basically helps to stop or reduce the amount of bubbles that's caused when you're adding inclusions in. So I've just put a little bit of the same UV resin onto the charm, and I'm just rubbing it with my finger. Yeah, it just basically makes sure that the surface is covered and there's less chance of bubbles when it goes in. So here we go, I am popping it in now, and it doesn't really matter which way up it goes because it's a circle, and I'm just trying to get it as straight as I can, and I'm using the same toothpick just to push it down slightly. I don't want to push it right against the mould in case some of it sticks out of the resin. I'm just basically trying to submerge it in the resin and make sure it is where I want it. And now I'm going to put it under the UV lamp just for a couple of minutes. It doesn't need to be completely cured. Now that's done, I'm going to make up some UV resin for my next layer, and I'm going to use some of the Marabou Rainbow Alcohol ink in the UV resin. It just gives it a nice sort of sparkle, just to give it a bit of interest so it's not all completely clear. So I'm just going to pop some UV resin into my little silicone cup. Then I'll add a couple of drops of the alcohol ink. See that sparkle? You don't need an awful lot. And I'm just going to give that a little mix up now. Then I'm simply going to pour it on top of my little charm and fill up the mould, you know what I mean. So I'm just going to very carefully put it on, make sure that everything is covered, and then we should be ready to move on. I've went over the edge a little bit, so I'm just taking a cotton bud and going round just to take off any excess so that isn't curing. It makes it a lot easier than having to trim it off at the end. So that is us done. Give it a wee squish with some alcohol to make sure there's no bubbles, and then we're just going to put it under the lamp again. I give it a couple of minutes from this side and make sure it's hard enough, and then I turn it over, and I'm going to give it a couple of minutes on this side as well. That's done. I'm just checking it's definitely nice and cured, and it is. And what about this side? Is it slightly sticky? I think it's slightly sticky. So I'm going to put that back under the lamp just for another minute or so. And there it is, looking lovely. Unfortunately, I'm sorry, it's so blurry, but I've not got time to remake it. And it is looking lovely, it's looking really good. And I'm just going to put it against the badge rail. And I think, yeah, it's going to be absolutely perfect. So now all I need to do is stick it to the badge rail. So I'm just going to use some super glue. It's the B7000. And I'm going to put a little bit onto the actual piece that I've just made, and some onto the badge rail bit as well. And basically with that, you just let it sit for a minute or so to get tacky, and then put both of them together. So I'm going to do that. Pop some on here. And rather than you having to sit and watch glue dry, I will cut this bit out and come back to you when I'm ready for the next step. It has stuck, but not as well as I would like, so I am taking some of the UV nail glue, and I'm just going round the edge between the UV piece and the actual badge rail with that, and then I'm going to cure that as we go under the UV light, just to make sure that it is nice and secure. So I'll do that off camera. I just wanted to let you see that that's what I was doing. And this nail glue came from Temu as well. Once that was done, I noticed that there were a couple of little sort of finger marks on it. And what do? I think, oh, I'm going to use some alcohol and I'm going to give it a little rub and clean it up a bit. No, Fiona, that's not a good idea. All that did was make it sticky and yucky looking. And I was like, no, I've completely ruined it. But then I had an idea. So I will show you what I do to recover it in a minute. You can't really see how bad it is because the picture's so blurry, which is a good thing. But yeah, I do panic slightly, and then I think, no, I know how to sort this. So all I do is I take my UV varnish sealer, which was also from Temu, and it is glossy, and it's a bit like a nail polish. So I basically just get hold of the badge, and then I paint it on like nail polish, and voila, it goes nice and clear again. Disaster averted. Phew! Not that it's very clear for you. Oh, I really hate the fact that this has gone so blurry. Anyway, it's done now. So that's what I'm doing. I'm just painting it right on. I'm putting it right to the edges, and then I cure it under the lamp for a couple of minutes. And there we have our first badge reel, personalised for a teacher, with the lovely apple charm inside the UV resin dome. And honestly, it is nicer than it looks from this image. I'm going to poop it. No, I'm not. I'm going to pop it back under the lamp just for another couple of minutes while I get ready to make my next one. So for the second one, I'm going to do something similar, but I'm going to use the bezel, which I will then attach to the badge reel. A bezel is basically just a blank that you can use to make jewellery out of. Again, this has got a loop on it, so I'm going to take my little snippers and snip the loop off the top so that I've just got a round one. These are heavier duty ones because it is a much thicker bit of metal that I'm taking off. So I'm not going to make you watch me struggle with that. But I do eventually get it off. Now that's done, I put it against the badge reel again, and I think the little bit where the loop was is still a little bit rough, so I'm going to put that to the bottom. Right, what I'm doing here is I am just taking an acrylic paint marker and I'm colouring in the inside of the bezel because I don't want the silver to shine through. I want it to match the colour of the badge reel so that it doesn't look too obvious. So I'm just giving that a quick colour in with my paint marker, and I end up having to do a few layers. I just let it dry and then colour it in again. So I do that in a few layers and I'll come back to you once that's done. Then I am going to take another charm off the keyring, and this time it's a little owl one because an owl is clever apparently, and yeah, it's another symbol of a teacher. So I'm going to take the little owl charm, and this is what I'm going to use in this badge reel. So I'm just popping it in the bezel, or having a look in the bezel to see what the size is going to be like, and there's space round about it, so I'm going to get some of the other charms out of the little box that I brought earlier, and it's little stars. I thought they would be quite nice to use because teachers use stars, don't they? They give you a star if you've done well. Oh, look how blurry this is, I'm so sorry. So anyway, I have got some little stars that I'm putting in my diamond painting boat ready to use. Then before I add any resin, I decide just to try it. So I've got my little owl in there, and I am going to pop some little stars. I'm trying to use tweezers. Look at the state of me. So I'm just going to pop the little stars in beside it, and just try to figure out really what sort of layout I want, what colour stars. They are different colours, I know you can't see it. The other thing that you can't see is the stars are little charms, so they've got little round loops on the top as well, which I cut off with my little snips. So once I know what ones I'm using, I put the other ones away, ready to get sorted. And this is me just showing you that I need to take the loop off there. That's us ready for our UV resin. And this time, because I'm doing it the other way around, last time the first layer was the top, this time the first layer is the bottom, it's the back of the piece. So I'm going to add my Marabou Rainbow Alcohol ink here as well. So again, just adding a couple of drops into the resin, giving it a stir up, and then we'll be ready to add it to the bezel. And again, I just want a thin layer on here, just enough to stick my charms to. So I am popping it into the bezel. Just pour it in slightly, don't want too much. And then I'm going to use my silicone tool just to spread it around, make sure it gets to all of the edges, and there's not any bit of the bezel left without the UV resin. You'll notice I'm not wearing gloves here. First of all, I forgot to put them back on, and second of all, I'm not going to be touching the UV resin anyway. So, but do as I say, not as I do. Wear your PPE. So anyway, I'm just spreading it right out, ready for my charms. Oh yeah, I've just remembered I did cure this layer first. I can't remember why. I don't think you really need to do it, but I did it. It was a very thin layer, so I'm curing that first, and I'll come back to you once it's done. So before I put my next layer of UV resin on, I'm just checking what bit I want to be the bottom, where the wee jaggy bit is that's left. So I've got that the right way. I don't know why I've got it on the mirror. It can't shine through the metal, but it doesn't matter. Makes no difference. I'm just pouring some more of the same UV resin on. Again, just another nice thin layer is all we need. It's really just to stick our charms in place. So I'm spreading it out. Again, make sure that it goes to all of the edges. I give it a quick spray with alcohol to make sure that there's no bubbles, and then we should be ready to put our charms in now. I ditch the tweezers and use my fingers. So I'm just going to pop the owl roughly where I want it to be. Then I use a little pokey tool to make sure that it's nice and straight and in the middle, that sort of thing. And I also use it to press it down to make sure that it's properly in the UV resin. It won't be coated in it, but just to make sure that it is, all edges are in the UV resin. And I'm just putting my little stars in now, roughly where I had wanted to put them before. This picture quality is so poor, I really do apologise. If you're new here, I promise my videos aren't always like this. I just wanted to put it out for you because it is part of my series. If you want me to remake this, let me know and I will do. Now that layer's cured, we're ready to put our final top layer on, and I'm just going to squeeze it straight on from the bottle. I'm going to make sure that I cover all of the charms. Make sure that all the little edges and everything are completely covered in resin. And I'm going to try to dome it, which basically means that you've got as much resin in as you can without it flowing over the edges. And it just gives it a nice finish. So once I have put in my resin, I'm going to have a look at it, make sure that it's all at the edges. I'm just tipping it round a bit to make sure all of the edges are definitely covered. Then make any other little adjustments that I need to with my pokey tool. And this is what it's looking like. I know you can't see much, I promise I will put proper photos in at the end so you can see it properly, but it is looking really nice. And I do like the way it is nicely domed, and I like the pink colour that I've put on the background against the rainbow alcohol ink UV resin as well. So it's still a touch sticky, so I'm going to put it back under my lamp for a wee minute. Then I'm just going to use the same super glue to do the same thing. I put it on the back of the bezel, put it all over, and I think I put a touch on the actual badge reel as well, and then I stick them together. Again, to be on the safe side, I take my nail glue and I go around the edges with it as well, just this UV resin glue, just to make sure it's definitely stuck in place. Then I give it a cure. Now the edges of this aren't overly neat, so I decide to go over the whole thing with my proper UV resin, not the whole domed bit, just the round the outside of the bezel. Because there's a bigger gap there than there was with the other one, I just decided that it would look neater, and it does. It's definitely much neater having the full amount of UV resin going round the edges. So I just do this and cure it, and then I will come back to you. I decided to refilm the end of this so that you can see them properly. All that happened since I left you last was I put these onto my window ledge to let the sunshine get to them for a wee while. I always do that with my UV pieces, just so that I know they're 100% cured. So let's have a close look at them. This is the one we did first, the one with the apple, and I think it is gorgeous. You can see the sparkle from the rainbow alcohol ink, and yeah, an apple is perfect for a teacher, although it doesn't have to be. It could just be for someone who likes apples, even a dentist, you never know. So that is that one, and I think this is my favourite. So this is the owl one. We took the silver bezel and I coloured the back of it in just so that it matched the badge reel a bit more, and I think it goes perfect. And then I added the UV resin with the Marabou rainbow alcohol ink to give it the sparkle, and I added the owl and a pink and a blue star to go with the badge reel, and then just domed it off. And remember, I put the UV resin right round the outside as well to make sure it was nice and secure and to finish it off, and I think it has worked wonderfully. So all that's left now is to put it in some packaging, and I am just going to use my beaded pen packages. These are brilliant. They're so versatile, you can use them for so many things. It's a bit ripped because I have already used it for this. I took it out to refilm it. But there we go. How nice is that as a gift? And as I put this one in, I just want to say thank you so much for bearing with me through this video. I don't know what was going on with my camera, but I will check in future when I'm filming that it's okay. There we go. But at least you've had a chance to see them properly now anyway. So if you have enjoyed this, please do hit the thumbs up button, talk to me in the comments below, subscribe if you haven't already. You will see more in this series. In my next one, I'm going to be making a keyring with an acrylic blank, stickers and UV resin, so stay tuned for that. And I'm also going to be making coasters, a trinket dish, and maybe even a snow globe tumbler. So please, if you would like to see them, subscribe. It's completely free. Hit the bell notification until it says all, and then YouTube will let you know every time I upload a video. Thank you so much for watching, everyone, and I will see you in our next one. Bye!